Madonna has sounded the retreat on the release of her upcoming video, all out of sensitivity because of the war.
E aí, seus felas? Vamos para o lançamento desse álbum que eu acho ele maravilhoso. E inclusive ele é muito nostálgico para mim. Porque nessa era eu ainda era um pré-adolescente, estava acho que na 7ª série. E eu lembro que assim, a Madonna lançava um clipe e era notícia na escola, porque passava na MTV e todo mundo ficava louco. E a MTV Brasil foi muito despertinha em relação a este clipe. Primeiro que American Life é um single que talvez tenha sido o single de pior desempenho na carreira da Madonna em sua estreia. Ele estreou na 37ª posição da Billboard. Muito provavelmente seja por conta do conteúdo da letra, que seria aí anti-guerra, mas muitas pessoas encararam como antipatriotismo.
Lyrics from the song American Life. I tried to be a boy, I tried to be a girl, I tried to be a mess, I tried to be the best. I guess I did it wrong, that's why I wrote this song. This type of modern life, is it for me? This type of modern life, is it for free? Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
That's, yeah, trying on different guises, different personalities, being a rebel, being androgynous, you know, doing all these kind of things, trying to be number one on the top. But I guess I did it wrong, meaning I'm 100% sure that getting people's approval is not a goal to have in life. And I can tell you from my vantage point, which is what most people perceive as the top, that none of those things are really real. You know?
Let me play devil's advocate for a second,
Please.
because please do. Please stop me, because it sounds a little bit like Madonna. You're someone who's benefited from celebrity as much as anyone has, and enjoyed it.
But I've also seen the other side of it
Okay, but
as
you
well.
enjoyed the ride, and now it seems at 40-something years old, you're looking back and saying celebrity bull.
To a certain extent, I am, because I see that how obsessed with celebrity everybody is. And I'm saying, you know, if you're only halfway up to the top, you can hardly say, I know it's not going to bring me happiness. I know it's baloney.
E ao final ela tá com uma granada que quem pega é o sósia do George W. Bush. Vixe. Mas a MTV Brasil ela conseguiu uma autorização que não foi revogada a tempo. Ou seja, eles podiam passar o clipe mesmo com ele tendo sido cancelado. E a MTV passou este clipe a cada 1 hora por 12 horas. A cada 1 hora, a MTV exibiu o clipe na televisão.
Let's talk about some of the new material in American Life. First of all, starting with this music video. Obviously, you had a lot of things to say about what was going on in the world, and you didn't want it to be seen. And why did you change your mind and not want to put this out?
Well, when I first came up with the idea for the video, it was last November, and there was talk of war, but war seemed very far away. So basically, it was my last-ditch effort to kind of throw out the horrors of war and the reality of war out there to people, to try and, I don't know, galvanize people to become unified and do as much protesting as possible. But then the war started. By the time I finished the video, it was kind of too late. And I didn't think people wanted to be inundated with, you know, war footage that we'd use, stock war footage in the video. I just thought that's rubbing salt in the wounds.
Right. So. This is the first time I think it's ever been seen. How many versions of this video are there?
It's scary to think about, really. There's about 10, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah. Depending on how brave you are.
Another video.
I don't think you're going to get the XXX version today.
There is. You have a XXX version at home, huh? Just for a slight viewing audience.
Very close friends.
Right. I would love to see that. And you decide to rap in the song, too. Let's get to that part of this music video. Where did that sort of stem from, that you were feeling that?
That just came from Mirwais over here, my collaborator.
Right.
Here he is, man of the hour. Basically, it was his idea, and he said, get in there and do, I hear it. I feel like you're going to do a rap. And I looked at him like he was crazy. I've never done it before. And he just said, just try it. If it doesn't work, we won't use it. So that's it. So thank you for inspiring me.
Was it hard? Was rapping something hard that your very first time sort of giving it a shot and trying to flow?
No, I'm from Detroit, man. It just
I got you.
Rolled off the tongue.
O que a Madonna fez depois do cancelamento desse clipe? Reeditou o clipe, e aí ela pegou a parte que já tinha sido gravada com ela aí de roupa de militar, e ao fundo ela trocou aquelas imagens de explosões com imagem aí das bandeiras aí de quase todos os países do mundo. Eu só lembro que quando eu assisti esse clipe na televisão, essa versão diferente aí que foi lançada logo depois do cancelamento, que eu achei o máximo quando eu vi a bandeira do Brasil.
Originally, I made the video because I felt the threat of war looming over us, and in my heart of hearts, I wanted to do anything I could to stop it from happening. I'm agreeing with everybody. Saddam Hussein is a bad guy, okay? But to somehow resolve the conflict without a lot of pain and suffering of innocent people was that's my dream and my goal. And I wanted to make a video that was going to wake people up and say, hey, stop being distracted by, all of your entertainments, TV fashion shows, the superficial life. There's a real war going on here or about to go on here, and we have to do whatever we can to stop it. It's like this lynch mob mentality is kind of risen up. And suddenly I was making this video that was horrible and full of horrible things, and it was terribly irresponsible. Meanwhile, nobody saw it and nobody knew what they were talking about. At the end of the video, there's a hand grenade that I throw, and it goes sailing through the air, and a hand grenade is a symbol of destruction and violence, and George Bush catches it and lights his cigar with it, and so it turns out it's not a hand grenade after all, it's just a lighter. And so that was my kind of wishful thinking, symbolically, that we could find a different way to deal with our conflicts with Iraq. By the time it was finished, we were at war, and it just seemed like, it was just bad timing. And it seemed like no matter how much money I spent on it and how beautiful a video I thought it was artistically, it just wasn't the right time for it to come out. It's ironic that we're fighting for democracy in Iraq because we ultimately aren't celebrating democracy here, because anybody who has anything to say against the war or against, the president or whatever is punished. And that's not democracy. It's people being intolerant. Daughter goes to school. She walks down the street. My husband is a filmmaker and in the entertainment business, and I don't want to compromise them in any way, shape, or form.
Hi. I'm Megan Mullally, and I'm sitting here with the lovely Madonna. My little stack of research. I felt like I was back in college last night, is all I want to say.
You've done your homework.
Yeah. So you very kindly agreed to do an episode of Will and Grace. Did you have fun?
Thank you. I had such a good time. I loved it.
Would you like to explain the premise, or shall I?
Yes, I interview you to be my roommate, and basically the entire skit is about you and I kind of rubbing each other the wrong way.
Or the right way. It really was fun, though.
It was great.
It'll be fun.
I loved it. I liked all the writers. 5 people run in, do a huddle, come, change your line, and you just have that freshness and
people
who
really, that was my dog. And people who really know what they're doing. I know, it's so disappointing.
And the other thing I want to say is that her dog had to be on the set all the time. She kept going over and changing his diapers and
my dog.
feeding him stuff. I mean, he's a bit weird.
Please.
I didn't even bring my kids on the set.
Hurting me. My poor dog had to have an operation. She's been in a delicate condition, but she's doing better, except
Haven't
for just
we all?
now, apparently. Yes. Why isn't there somebody changing our diapers is what I'd like to know.
Why can't someone cart us around in little cages?
Okay, let's get on to more important things right now, which is your new album. I still call it an album because I'm very old. Well, that's not true. We're the same age. Now, oddly enough, one of us has managed to stay in a teeny-weeny bit shape than the other one of us. I'll leave that to the audience to discern. It's very hard to tell. But you have this great album, which I was loaned under penalty of death should I ever let anybody else hear any of it. And it's really fantastic.
Thank you.
Tell me how you were feeling, where you were coming from when you were putting the record together.
Basically, American Life is, I start the record off with that song, and it's the first single that I'm releasing because I feel like in one fell swoop it describes my state of mind when I was writing the record, which is I looked back at the 20 years behind me and I found myself in a place where, in the conventional sense, I'd achieved so many things in terms of my career and my place in the world and what people think of me, and I'm very successful. I have lots of material things. And I realized that a lot of the things that I'd valued weren't important. So that's really what I mean when I say at the end of the rap, I have all of these things. I've got a lawyer and a manager, an agent and a chef, 3 nannies, an assistant and a driver and a jet. But
do you think I'm satisfied? Do you think that all of those things are making me happy? No. And, you know, the only thing that's really going to make you happy is the state of your soul, the way that you treat people, the love that you have in your heart. And I know that sounds really corny, but it's the truth. And nobody tells you that.
Become well known when you're young is rough.
Yeah.
But then to have to go through all of the changes that a person goes through in their life and the learning and the growing, but in such a public format, must have been so difficult. And yet you've turned it toward the positive.
I see how far I've come. It's not like I'm ashamed of who I was 10 years ago, but I just realized that I was going through life in a kind of willy-nilly way, and I was just kind of, in a way, slashing and burning. And sometimes you have to do that, to let go of your past. And I was angry about the way people perceived me. People would have these ideas that if you were perceived as being sexual, then you couldn't be intelligent. And, you know, so I was in this very kind of angry and provocative mood, and a lot of what I was doing at the time was very ego-driven. And I was trying to shock people, you know. I'm not sure if it was an altruistic reason, you know what I mean? Looking back on it, at the time, I felt very self-important, you know?
But you're going through that, just like anyone would.
Yeah.
But you're going through it, and everybody's watching.
Yeah. At the end of the day, everyone changes and everyone grows. But if your changes and your growth are always documented, and you always have to comment on them or explain them, and of course, something you said and believed in a couple of years ago is going to change for a lot of people. But then if you say that, they'll say, but you said that before, and I'm constantly being held accountable for everything. And I mean, I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but, you know, it's been an incredible ride, adventure, test, whatever you want to call it, to go through all of it and still see the beauty and purity of life, and still have a kind of innocent outlook and not lose my own curiosity and sense of adventure.
Have always had a lot of songs that were about, you know, love being the most important thing.
Yep.
And even when you were unhappy, or now you've been able to sort of, you know, turn that into something that is like the glass is more half full, you know?
I've tried. I mean, I've had my dark moments, that's for sure.
I think that having children would certainly, I don't have children myself, so...
You better get busy, girl.
Well, that's the dog. I got the dog. I'm working on the children. How has that contributed to this?
My growth? Hugely, enormously. Being in the entertainment business, you have a tendency, we all do, to become incredibly self-obsessed, even if we have relationships, you know. You spend your entire day kind of preparing yourself. If you're like a person who lives in front of the camera, you know, there's the exercising, there's the clothes, there's the, you know, the hair and the nails and the skin, and there's the, you know, it just goes on and on and on. And you have children, and there's no, like, the time to do all those things gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And in a way, I mean, it's the best thing that could happen, to, like, throw everything in perspective. I can't remember.
It takes you out of yourself more.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I find that my children help me see myself and my own weaknesses and shortcomings, because I see my daughter being, you know, reacting to things, and I get kind of anxiety-ridden watching her do it, and then I go, my God, that's me. You know, so it's kind of like a mirror thing that happens, and then it's a good way to correct yourself, because your children really are mirrors of you. They're sparks of your soul, and when you learn to embrace your children for all of their shortcomings, in a way, you're doing that to yourself.
Is there anything in particular about your son that makes you see yourself like that?
My daughter's very emotional, and I find myself getting really frustrated with her, and I'm like, oh my God, what a drama queen. And I'm like, okay. What? And then I see my son, and who's like a clown, and he's funny. He's got this really irreverent, kind of cheeky sense of humor, and he's that side, you know. I see myself in that aspect of his personality, and it's great having the two.
The balance.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're in a good relationship, happy in your marriage.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are there things that you see in Guy that you see in yourself?
I need to fix in myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in a way, that's how you kind of know you're in the right relationship, when you feel a deep connection to somebody, but then there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And just the growth that, you know, our relationship has undergone in the last 4 years has been amazing.
And it's so cool that you have such a great creative kind of affinity with each other, and you can work together, and there's that thread.
And I totally respect and admire his opinions on everything. I mean, I wouldn't finish a song without him hearing it, or all my work, I show to him, and I want his input.
Tell me about I'm sure, I know how busy you are, but you have friends.
I really have no friends.
You have no friends. You've got me.
I'm sorry.
How do you fit your friends in? I mean, I even find it difficult, and I'm about 1/1000th as busy as you.
Yeah, well, it's hard. I must say I don't have as much time for a lot of my friends as I used to. And we end up talking on the phone and emailing each other more than seeing each other these days, it seems. But I do have a handful of really good friends, and I'm very, very grateful for them.
Are they mostly people that you've known for a long time, or kind of half and half?
Yeah, I mean, I have a kind of family around me that's been working with me for years, and they've become my really good friends. Mm-hmm. I consider, my manager to be one of my best friends. She's known me for 15 years. So.
She's awesome.
And my sister is an excellent friend of mine. And, obviously she's known me for ages. So, I mean, I tend to like to keep people around me that I've known for a long time. There's, I have lots of surrogate mothers, and I'm very lucky to have that, I don't have a lot of friends, but I have some very good ones.
I wanted to ask you, since you are the mother of reinvention, if you would ever consider someday actually, becoming like one of your reinventions becoming a beautiful older woman and having like a wrinkle and a gray hair.
I'm pretty sure I already have a few wrinkles and gray hair, so just don't zoom in too close, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's the direction I'm going in, and,
That's what it seems to me, and I think that would be very exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Fat rolls and wrinkles. Right on.
It's the new rage.
Give us a kiss, love.
That was lovely.
Mwah.
Então é isso, American Life foi um disco muito político e também aí trazia várias letras muito mais pessoais da Madonna, muito mais autobiográficas. Ela já estava se firmando muito mais como compositora, mas infelizmente foi um disco bem criticado, até porque na capa ela faz até aí alusão ao Che Guevara, considerado por muitos norte-americanos como terrorista. E Madonna foi taxada de ir contra a pátria, que na verdade deveria se preocupar em fazer música pop, não ficar fazendo música política. Bem, escreva aí nos comentários a sua opinião sobre esse disco. Então é isso, seus felas, até a próxima!